Hello, everyone. My name is Stacy O'Connor, and I am the undergraduate recruiting specialist for the Beacom School of Business. First of all, I am so excited that you all joined today, so thank you for joining and welcome. Before I get started, I just want to share a little bit of information about the Beacom School of Business. The Beacom School of Business is the flagship business school for the state of South Dakota. We are AACSB accredited and have been continuously since 1949. AACSB accreditation is the highest accreditation there is for business schools. The Beacom School of Business is known for its high-quality learning experience, high-caliber faculty, student success, and affordability. I am thrilled that you are considering the Beacom School of Business. Now, on to today's feature, the professors. Our goal this afternoon is to give you a better idea of what to expect inside of the classroom and when interacting with professors. To start, we're going to go around the room and have each professor introduce themselves. Professors, please tell us a little bit about yourselves. Where you're from, what school you went to, what you teach, how you ended up in Vermillion, South Dakota, and something interesting about yourself. We will start with Mark.
That's a lot of pressure there.
Yeah.
I'm Dr. Mark Yockey. I'm originally from Florida. I've lived in Tennessee and Utah and Idaho. Did my PhD work at Washington State University. Did a master's at University of Idaho. My undergraduate degree is from Brigham Young University in Provo, Utah. Married, children. So what else did you want to know?
Oh, okay. How you ended up in Vermillion, what you teach.
What do I teach? I teach in management, so I teach strategy and organizational behavior, leadership, those types of things. Interesting that I would wind up here in Vermillion, South Dakota. When I first came out for an interview here, I thought it was going to be a practice interview. And my intentions were to just do a practice interview. But as I was meeting everyone, I really fell in love with the people here. And what impressed me the most was faculty members knew all of the students by name as they were going up and down the hall. And so they would talk to students by name, which just doesn't happen in most places. And I said, that's the kind of place I want to teach, someplace where I can actually get to know students. So that's what brought me here. And some little known thing about me is that I'm a whitewater river rafter.
That's cool.
My name is Mandy. I've lived in this kind of general area most of my life, but I was born in Washington State. I did my undergraduate degree and my MBA here at USD and my doctoral work at SMC University in Switzerland. I teach economics and statistics, both face-to-face and online. In fact, I recognize a few names. I might have had some of you in an online class. I ended up in Vermillion actually by choice. I love this area. I like the community, and so I was just really excited to be here. I also love that USD is big enough that we have a lot of really neat opportunities here on campus, both for faculty and our students. But it's small enough that, like Dr. Yockey said, you learn everybody's names very quickly. Students are comfortable coming and asking you questions because they're not in classes of 600, and so that's really, really great. Something interesting about myself, I drink a lot of tea. I actually drink about 2 gallons of tea every day. I have a very, very, very bad caffeine addiction. I'm not actually looking to change it or anything, so don't call it a problem. It's just a thing. Yeah, so I guess that's my weird and interesting thing about myself.
Oh, me. Okay, so I was actually born in Minnesota, but I've lived all over the country. So I'm going to do the interesting thing about myself first, is I've lived all over the country. I got my undergraduate degree in San Diego. I was in San Diego having served in the military, in the Marine Corps, so I stayed and I got my undergraduate degree. And then I went and I worked in Washington State and Oregon State. And then I moved to Indianapolis, and while I was in Indianapolis, I got my master's degree. And at some point, I decided to go get a doctorate. I went to Kentucky for my doctorate, and then I went to Wyoming for my first job out of school. I was there for 9 years, but I wanted to come back to the Midwest. So that's how I ended up back here, is interviewed here to get closer to Minneapolis and not have to pay state income taxes, right? It's an affordable place to go to school. It's an affordable place to live. I teach accounting. Specifically, I teach cost accounting at the undergraduate level, graduate level, online, and face-to-face.
Awesome. And something interesting about yourself?
I did.
You did already?
Everything is interesting. I rearranged it on you.
Sorry.
It's okay.
All right, Tyler.
Okay, thanks, Stacy. Yes, my name is Tyler Custis. I'm originally from Custer, South Dakota, on the western side of the state. I went to school. I did my undergraduate degree at Texas A&M University, and then after traveling around for a while, I came back to Vermilion and got my master's degree in business administration as well as my law degree. I teach in business law and management. I think the world of Vermilion, South Dakota. I've been to many places, as my interesting fact shows there. And when I came to Vermilion, I just automatically knew that this was the place for me. It just had the right feel for a person from South Dakota, both to connect with the community and a fantastic institution.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And now we're going to start with the Q&A session. Tyler, we'll start with you.
Sure.
So what is one piece of advice that you would give incoming freshmen?
Sure. I think the best piece of advice that I can give you is to be, my air quotes here, be all in. I think as a freshman, there are so many ways to be distracted and maybe to not stay on task to getting the degree and being as successful as you want to be. But if you come in committed to being a great student, being actively engaged in the university community, you can't go wrong. And I think you'll be very successful if you take the approach that you're just going to be all in from day one.
Excellent advice. I wish I'd been told that when I started college. Teresa, why do you think business is a good field to study in college?
Business can take you anywhere you want to go. So if you want to work with horses, you can get a business degree and you can go work with a stable or with trainers or whatever. If you want to work with radio stations, I was a business manager at a group of radio stations for a while as an accountant. No matter what you want to do, business can take you there. So every organization, if you want to work with not-for-profits to change the world, they still need to be able to do tax returns and business plans and marketing plans and everything else. So everybody needs what we offer to make any organization work. So you can be anything you want to be, work in any organization with a business degree.
Good answer. Interesting. All right, Mandy, tell us, what is your biggest pet peeve?
My biggest pet peeve, I assume you mean academically, not when my children are being brats or anything like that. No, I think my biggest pet peeve is when students ask questions that could be answered by reading the syllabus, right? So asking me how much the final exam is worth or something like that, that's all in the syllabus. Or when I send, an email to students letting them know this is the plan for class for the next week, and they pop in and say, do we have class this week and what are we talking about? So when it's already been provided in writing, just take note of that. I mean, your instructor puts the time in to organize the class and give you all the information they possibly can. So respect that and try to make sure you answer your own questions before you just go asking the question.
That's good to know. Take note in case you have Mandy in class.
Yes, take note, yes.
All right. So Mark, talk to us a little bit about how many hours outside of class you expect your students to spend studying. And in addition to that, talk about what's a typical business course homework requirements look like?
Well, I think the requirements will change a lot by class, but I think a lot of students come thinking, well, I'm free, because we don't have homework, or I can do whatever I want to do when I'm in college. And it's really the amount of time you spend in the classroom is the minority of your time studying. I think most professors will tell you that you should expect to spend about 2 hours outside of class studying for every hour that you spend inside. And that'll vary by class. In some classes you might find particularly difficult and you'll spend more time than that. And some might be come a little easier to you and you'll spend a little bit less. But typically you're going to be reading a textbook chapter a week or more, and there'll be homework problems, particularly if you're doing something in the math area. Expect to write 2 or 3 papers per semester, a research paper per semester. So it can be a fairly heavy load. Maybe a little lighter the first couple of years, but by the time you're into your junior and senior year, you'll spend a lot of time outside of class, more so than you spend inside.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, back to Mandy. So tell us, what is your favorite part about being a college professor?
That is an easy question. My favorite part about being a college professor is getting to work with students. So getting to, be in the classroom and see those aha moments and help students get something that they thought was particularly difficult. So I teach quantitative classes, economics and statistics, and many students struggle with those. And so a lot of them come into the class thinking, I'm never going to learn this. It's too hard. I can't get it. And to see those students overcome that challenge and have that aha moment and be like, oh, I understand this now. This is so cool. And that excitement, it's awesome. So awesome.
That's good. Good to hear. Okay. Okay, so next, Teresa, if you could sit in on a class in the business school today, which one would you choose and why?
That is such a hard question because there's so many. I love taxes, so I would love to sit in on the graduate tax classes especially. I co-author a tax book, and so it would inform some of my writing. But taxes are also all about law, so I'd like to sit in on the law classes and learn more about law. But you can never have enough math, so statistics, right? So I couldn't choose between those three, right? Taxes, statistics, and law. How can you go wrong?
Interesting. All right.
Other than the stat, I agree.
Stats is awesome.
Yeah, right.
So Tyler, back to you.
Yeah.
What are two good habits that will lead to success and two habits that will lead to failure?
Sure. Well, maybe we'll start with a failure and on a positive note. In my variety of positions that I've had at USD, I've had the opportunity to see lots of students go through, and I can honestly say that I've seen students with an 18 ACT be incredibly successful in college, and I've also seen students with a 30 ACT fail out of college. So inherently within that, there are other things other than just intellect of how to be successful in college. And I think two ways of not succeeding is to fall into what I call the time management death spiral. And the time management death spiral would be what Professor Yaki was talking about. There's a lot of time in your day. In high school, right, maybe mom and dad told you got to be here and there, and teachers are telling you when things need to be due. That's not really how college goes, and a lot of it is that you'll get a syllabus when things are due or when exams are, and much of it is on you to be prepared for that. So if you sit in your dorm room and do a lot of Netflix and chilling, it's not going to go very well. So you need to make sure that you're engaging that time management, and we'll talk about that with what to be successful. And I think the other thing to be unsuccessful is if you come here and you're quote unquote too cool for school. Check that ego at the door. You got to come. You got to be engaged in those classes, and you got to do. You can't be worried about being too cool, right? If you come and give that maximum effort, there won't be a problem. So, which leads to the success. I think to be successful, you've got to really work on that time management. Some of the best advice I ever got was go to the library on the first day, right? Write all those important days in your planner, and every day get into a routine where there's a time for studying, there's a time for maybe even exercise or recreation. You're going to your different organizations that you're a part of, and then finally, be engaged in whatever class that you have. I took marine biology in college, and I still remember some of the really cool parts about marine biology. So no matter what the course you're taking, there's something interesting out there for you. So be engaged, jump into it, and be in control of that time management, and you'll all succeed.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Those are all the questions that I have prepared. So I want to open it up to the audience. If you have questions, you can type them in the chat section in the bottom right-hand side of your screen. I typed a message. I'll say something here. So feel free, anyone that's out there, feel free to ask a question to any of the professors. And while we wait, Mark, why don't you share with us your most memorable thing that you did in college?
So would it count if I say graduate? No.
Yeah, sure.
Well, for me, I got married in college.
Okay.
So that would definitely have been the highlight of my college career.
That's interesting.
So.
Anyone else have anything super memorable?
Well, let's see. From a personal perspective, I moved right during finals week one year. That was really kind of horrific. I wouldn't recommend doing that, but it just happened to be that we closed on the house, and it happened to be during finals week, and so that was a poor choice on my part. But I think memorable experiences from college that were maybe more positive. I really enjoyed going to a research conference and presenting research I'd worked on with faculty members as an undergraduate student. That was a really, really great experience, and that has led me now to work on research projects with undergraduate students so they can present at conferences, and so that's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. It was a very neat, awesome networking experience, and I was super excited to do it, and it makes you feel intelligent, which is awesome. So that's all again. Anyone else?
Well, I will tell you that this is not exactly what you asked, but also not the way you want to do things. It took me 10 years to get my undergraduate degree because I was running my own business and raising a family while I did it. So, you know, there's a lot of people out there that are juggling multiple priorities, and yeah, if you could just start now right out of high school and do it before you get all that stuff underway, it's a better way to go. Okay,
so we do have a question. So what makes students choose this school over others in the area? Is there one of the professors that want to answer that?
Sure, go ahead, yeah.
I would say the primary reason that students choose USD is the quality of education. And I think that's reflected in our AACSB accreditation, which may not mean that much to you right now, but it suffices to say that we have world-class faculty doing an absolutely fantastic job educating our students. I think that when you couple those things that you'll get out of the institution with the price, it's the best value that you can get in the region.
And as the recruiter, I'll just add to that. What I hear from other prospective students is the size of our university. A lot of the other good business schools in the area are really big. So I feel like, you know, talking about the quality and the price and looking at the size of our institution is another big reason that people choose us. We, you know, like Mark said, professors really do know your names. Most classes have around 30 students. A lot of them have less. So you really get the opportunity to know your professors.
Yeah, I agree.
And all the classes are actually taught by professors, not by graduate assistants or something like that. At a large school, University of Minnesota, for example, a good portion of your classes will be taught by graduate assistant teaching, you know, so people that are getting their PhD, not people who've been doing this for years and years.
So another question, do professors have after hours to help go over class material, or are there tutors?
So I think all of us have office hours, and they're posted office hours. It goes back to the syllabus that Mandy was talking about. There's going to be a specific time that we're each in our office, and that's a walk-in, come and ask us questions. But in addition to that, I think all of us answer questions by email very, very quickly. And I think every professor in the building is willing to set up a time to meet with students if they need time to ask something and they can't make it to office hours. There's also tutors. We have 2 tutoring options that I know about. One is through Beta Alpha Psi, and one is through
The business school.
just the business school in general. So
yeah, we have tutoring. We have a computer lab on the 2nd floor where we hire tutors, and there's a schedule posted right on the door when the tutors will be there, and that's free.
Right. Yep. There's always a tutor in there, starting about probably 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock in the morning, and then every night except Friday night until about 8 o'clock at night. So they're there a pretty decent range of times. And actually, I teach classes online, and so quite a bit. And so online classes also have office hours where students can come and ask questions. I teach quantitative subjects, so I also usually plan a few practice problems to give students more practice. But like Dr. Stevenson said, I'm happy to meet students in our office hours chat room anytime, or in person anytime. And again, we do a lot of emailing. So
yes,
we do try to make ourselves available for student questions and to help them understand. You can't see the aha moments if your students don't get there. So
that's a good point. All right, and then there's another question about double majoring. So would it be difficult to double major in 2 different business majors and to expand on that further, a business major and another major?
So currently we don't have double majors in the business school. You can major in minors, so some common ones are like accounting and finance, or marketing and management, HR and management. So we have minors and majors, so you could major in minor. Majoring in the business school and minoring in another college is possible. We have students do that. It does require, it usually requires more than 120 credit hours. So the business school, we have a what we call a business core, and that's what allows us to give you a degree that's called a Bachelor of Business Administration in, and then, you know, marketing, finance, accounting, whatever your field is. And so we basically say that our students are all going to leave here with this core business knowledge. And so we have classes that everyone's required to take. Some schools don't have that. And so that core does mean a few more credit hours, but it also gives you that Bachelor of Business Administration that allows you to market yourself better in the, you know, in the workforce. So it's possible to major in the business school and somewhere else, but you might need a few more credit hours to get that done, and you would definitely need to plan.
So it just take a little longer.
And I would add that while we currently don't have double majors in the business school, there is a proposal before faculty right now to allow double majors,
Yes.
and that I suspect we will see that within a year or two.
Yes, I agree. And then it will be quite easy to double major within the School of Business. So.
And I've had a couple of advisees that are double majoring inside and outside, and so you have one advisor in the business school, and then you have one advisor in whatever that other curriculum is, and it's kind of up to the student to mesh those things and make sure that both of them are both of the requirements are being satisfied. But there's plenty of support online. You can run a degree audit that tells you all the classes you need, et cetera, so you can figure all that stuff out.
All right, so the next question, coming in as a first-time freshman in the spring, I was wondering what would be the best way to become involved, particularly with my business degree? Are there clubs or groups I can join for my business major?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
A lot.
A lot of them.
And actually, they have a week where they set up all the tables and they show all of the different organizations, student groups and whatnot, and so you can come in and you can get information from each one and try to figure out which ones you want to join. And the advice I would give there is don't overcommit, right? Get into something and really get into it, but don't just surf across the surface of 20 different groups.
And I think you're on the right path, Caitlin, to start initiating that process. That's how a lot of our students get jobs. They're able to network in the industry. It's a very good idea to get very involved in a club or two.
Right.
And there are specific clubs for specific disciplines or areas of study. So there's some specifically designed around marketing or accounting, and then there are some that are more broad or more general. So if you know what you want to major in, you might find the right group the very first couple of weeks you're here, and you'll be there for all 4 years. But if you want a little bit of a broader network, then perhaps there's a club for that as well.
And there's nothing wrong with changing groups each year, or if you decide you're going to change your major or whatnot to go a different way. But
we do have a student group called Delta Sigma Pi that is an overarching business group, and so it's open to all majors or anyone at all, and they do a lot of traveling to national conventions and regional conventions, and they would invest chapter frequently, pretty much every year now, I think, and they're very active in doing a lot of networking with other professionals, and so that's a really, really good organization if you kind of want to get in, hit the ground running, but you aren't sure what your major is going to be yet. That's an excellent organization to start with.
Yeah, that's good advice. All right, Vanessa has a question about networking opportunities. How many are offered on campus? Do you guys want me to cover that?
Sure, yeah.
I
Last
can
person to talk about that, actually.
Sure. So as far as networking goes, while student organizations is an excellent way to network with both peers, so other students that are in the business school, but also with professionals, employers in the real world. But in addition to student organizations, there are networking opportunities. In the business school specifically, we have at least one big career networking event each semester. So we just had an event called Meet the Firms, where we had employers here on campus, and they were set up in the business school atrium, and then the students could just sit down at the table and learn more about those companies. I'm trying to think, so campus-wide, there are events as well. So all of the services that we've been talking about are pretty much business specific, but campus-wide, there are close to 200 student organizations and many other networking opportunities that are available. Also in the business school, we have a lot of professors will bring in real world professionals to talk to you in class. That's another cool way to network. We have speaker events where we invite speakers to campus, and you can attend those and network and meet those people. We have research scholarly series. so that you can listen to professors present their research. So that's kind of neat, a good way to get to know professors. And then of course we have, oh, sorry, I'm thinking of employers, on-campus interviews. So here in the business school, a lot of the offices are opened in the Dean Suite because employers come to campus and want to interview our students outside of those recruiting events. So we have a full-time career services person. Her name is Mandy. She'll send emails out and say, hey, so-and-so's on campus, who wants to do an interview? So you have a lot of opportunities to interview and network with employers. All right, next question is from Ryan. Could you major in a business program and go on after that to get a law degree that incorporates business? Tyler?
Ryan, I'm glad to hear that there's another future lawyer out there. The world needs another lawyer. Yes, absolutely you can. We have many of our students who go on to law school, and something that we do that I think would help work on the question that you have is get a JD and an MBA. So you could get a Juris Doctor degree, which would be a lawyer, and then also a master's degree in business administration and kind of gear your practice more towards business law. But I think coming to school here as an undergrad, there's a couple advantages to that path. You'll be exposed to law classes in your business education to see if this is the thing that you really want to do. And then also, due to the size of our institution, you may be able to network a little more with the law school and get opportunities to get to know those folks and to increase your chances to getting to that law school, or maybe even do research or something like that to get to other law schools as well. So yes, you can absolutely do that.
And I'd like to jump in and just say that in addition to getting a JDMBA,
Yep.
you can get a JDMPA, which is a Master's of Professional Accountancy. So if you want to do something really exciting like go into tax law,
Which is very exciting.
you can do that.
Yes. And I'm going to tack on just one more little add-on to their information they gave you. When you do a joint degree program, JDMBA or JDMPA, you actually save credit hours. So the law school counts 3 of your MBA classes towards your law degree, and then we here at the Beacom School of Business count 3 of your law classes towards your MBA degree. So it ends up being, I think, like 5 extra classes to do both, and so it's definitely doable. If you're not interested in the master's degree, we do have a lot of students that aren't, and they just go on and just get the JD after their undergrad too, so all those are good.
Those are excellent questions. Another question from Caitlin, would you recommend taking a semester or year studying abroad?
Yes, 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 and yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, I agree.
Yes.
I think every student who's ever done that comes back and says this was one of the best experiences of my life.
Yeah.
You just learn a lot more by being somewhere else and seeing different cultures and how the world works there. It really forces you to get outside of your shell as well and prove a little bit about yourself. To yourself, if you will, but yeah, it's a great experience. Some of us have done that, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I studied abroad in Hong Kong, and I will reiterate that it was the best educational experience that I ever had, and I would encourage all students to have that opportunity to do it.
And I think that we know those students in the classroom because they come back more articulate, more prepared, more responsible, better sense of time management, a little bit more mature. They're better students all the way around. Generally speaking, that's a generalization, but yeah.
So we have a couple of actual options for study abroad. We have some faculty-led programs, which can usually last 2, maybe 3 weeks, and so some of our faculty might take students to other countries. So one of our health services administration faculty, Carol Southwinter, takes students like twice a year to sort of underdeveloped countries like Cuba and Ghana, and talks, and they work a lot on how can we get healthcare out to these tiny villages that are in the middle of nowhere. We've also done a few study tours, in Europe, and then again, those are options that are usually like 3 weeks long over the summer or over Christmas break. There are also options to do either a whole semester or a whole year abroad. So we have some direct partnerships here at the Beacom School of Business with a university in Otaro, Japan, and a university in Australia, Germany. And you can go to those places. You will take all of your classes would be in English. We have pretty already kind of set up with how the credits will transfer back. And because they're a direct partnership, you pay your USD tuition, so you aren't trying to cover tuition at both places, so it's a kind of an exchange thing. So you don't, the cost is a lot, less daunting to deal with because we have those direct partnerships. There are a lot of other opportunities for study abroad too, but those are kind of some of the more popular options, I guess.
Yeah, great. All right, Ryan, is there a way to access this recording? Yes, in fact, so this is being recorded, so I will send this recording out when we're finished here today, so you can watch it again. Good question.
We're clearly very fascinating. Want to watch it again?
We have about 1 more minute. If there's any more questions, feel free to ask. But in the meantime, we definitely want to stay in touch with you. So here on the screen are ways that you can stay in touch with the business school. We're active on Facebook, Twitter. We have a Snapchat account. So on the very first slide that I breezed through, I'm also on Facebook and I'm on Instagram. So feel free to reach out. I'm happy to connect with you in whatever way you are comfortable with. We are very happy that you attended. We're excited that you're interested in the business school. If you haven't come for a visit already, please consider doing that. Our campus is beautiful, and I'd love to meet with you one-on-one. And if you'd like to meet with a professor one-on-one, I'm sure they'd be happy to do that as well. If you want to set up a visit, just go to the website on the screen, usd.edu/visit, and stay tuned for information. We're having another webinar next month with advisors in the business school and the career services person that I mentioned earlier, Mandy Hansen. So have a good night. Go Yotes.
Thank you. Bye.